Hey everybody, this is PJ Riley from Lancaster Archery here in the Competition Archery Media Podcast studio. We've taken it over for the day, and I'm sitting here with Dale Brubaker, who is the grant coordinator for the Lancaster Archery Foundation. Dale, first off, thanks for sitting in.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. It's great to be able to meet with you and tell us a little bit about the foundation to everyone and get the ball rolling for our big campaign.
Yes, we are here September 15th, Dale. So for people who haven't heard already, we've been blasting it everywhere. But the Lancaster Archery Foundation has a challenge for the month of September only. Easton Foundations, in recognition of Easton Archery's 100th anniversary. 100 years ago, Easton Archery was founded. So September is their celebration month for that 100th anniversary. And so they have issued a challenge to the Lancaster Archery Foundation. Easton Foundations has issued a challenge to Lancaster Archery Foundation. If we can come up with $100,000 in donations during the month of September, Easton will match. Well, they'll match whatever we generate, but up to a maximum of $100,000.
Yeah, that's really great. I'm very excited. We are a new foundation. We've been in existence since 2019. Funding, will be spectacular. Trying to get more programs across the country, whether it's for camps, clubs, scholarships. We just want to get more people shooting archery, and this funding will go a long way in helping us do that.
Well, so I wanted to dive in with you a second about what the Lancaster Archery Foundation does, who some of the recipients have been. But I should point out, we just finished the World 3D Championships in Terni, Italy, and Team USA sent 24 archers over there. That was a self-funded trip. So those archers all went to London, Kentucky, the ASA in London, this past summer, competed for the right to compete in that championships, but then they had to pay their own way to get there. Hey, it's not cheap going to Terni, Italy. Anywhere right now.
No, it isn't. And we were fortunate. USA Archery reached out to us, and we were able to contribute to each archer's travel expenses and help them get over to Italy and represent our good country.
Yeah, the foundation, Lancaster Archery Foundation, gave $1,000 to each archer, $24,000. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, we were very excited to do that, and we're really excited to see how well they placed and come back home with some medals. I
believe I saw Shiloh Butts. He took a third place medal. I believe he was competing in longbow. And that's the only medal that I'm aware of. I know we had several fourth place finishes. Daniel Collins, I believe Fawn Gerard. I think she came in fourth as well. We just missed. But, I saw a lot of those archers, like Heather Gore Smith. She organized some fundraising campaigns, some fun events so the local community could help her get the money to go over there. And, several archers did as well. I heard some figures of archers having to pay like $8,000, $9,000. So it wasn't inexpensive, but hey, $1,000 from the Lancaster Archery Foundation. That's great. And that follows, I believe it was 2 years ago, there was a junior world championship somewhere in Europe as well that the foundation gave money to those kids too.
Yep. We try to help where we can. We know that costs, especially with the way the economy is and fuel costs and so forth, everything's just going upwards. So we try to kick in where we can to help offset their expenses.
So that's two things. That's USA Archery. That's high level world competition. And I know the foundation loves to help out with that. But bigger, probably the more meat of what the foundation does is the real grassroots stuff.
Right.
Tell us about some of those.
Yeah, we have an online, on our website, LancasterArcheryFoundation.org, we have an online application. If it's an eligible club or organization that wants to get some funding to either start a program or grow their program, we provide funding, in the form of a grant. They submit an application with the required IRS documentation, and we review it at our board meeting. And if it's approved, then we send out money to help them offset their costs.
Yeah.
We were really at the Grassroots 4-H, scout camps, JOAD programs, S3DA. We want to get people shooting archery and hopefully instill the bug that it stays with them for their life.
I got to read, every one of the grants, once they're approved, I get to read them all. And it's all, the common thread seemed to be like, hey, we have kids who are interested in archery, but we need some basic beginner equipment to get them started in it. And I mean, all of us at some point probably started out with, hey, here's a bow, go shoot it.
Right. Right. Yeah. Equipment wise and target, they want to grow ranges or get more kids shooting at once. I just got an application in this week that they have 51 kids ready to roll, and they just need more equipment
How about that?
To get them shooting, whether it's some equipment for the archer themselves or the range. They're just there's a big market out there that we're trying to kind of offset their costs, because a lot of these clubs, especially like 4-H, it's really, club funded. So they're having, car washes, bake sales, all kinds of fundraising efforts to get money for their equipment and get them rolling and competing. And we're just trying to help them along.
It's interesting to see where a lot of these clubs are too, because there are certain areas of the country that are known for archery. But what I like seeing is these clubs from places that I don't hear of. I'm thinking of one in particular in like the middle of Kansas somewhere. I think it was a 4-H club out in the middle of Kansas where they didn't really have much in the way of organized archery around them. And they're kind of the only thing if you're a kid looking to get into it.
Right. Yeah, we had one application that said they travel 45 minutes to use a neighboring county's range.
No kidding.
So, they submit an application to get some targets to set up in their town to kind of keep the kids at home there and get them prepped to compete at the state level.
And we should mention, that's kind of what the foundation, Lancaster Archery Foundation, that's kind of the goal of this. You start with a 4-H, get that kid shooting a bow, and then I'll use me, for instance. That was all it took for me. My dad brought home a little recurve one day. I started shooting it. I was like, man, I like this. And that was 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And I've been shooting a bow ever since. So archery is one of those things that seems to have that effect, can have that effect.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just, the youth. It's, we get applications where it's a club and, the families are shooting together. It's a family activity, whether it's the young lad who's, 5 years old that can, pull the little Genesis back, to their parents who are shooting, high-end equipment,
Right.
But they just need targets or, need range improvements.
We both spend time at the pro shop working over there. I mean, we see that all the time.
Yep.
The kid has the interest, but then mom and dad want to do something with the kid.
Right.
So they end up getting bows too.
Absolutely. And the other thing, I'm sure you ran into it also, where you have an adult, 20s and their 30s, they come in there, they're looking for archery equipment because they shot when they were in scouts.
Right.
They shot at the YMCA camp, or shot in high school gym class.
Yeah.
And they want to try something new, and they always had the bug in them. They just got to get it back out.
We should mention, so we've talked about the 4-H, we've talked about helping, or 4-H, we've talked about all the organizations, 4-H being one of them, S3DA clubs. We've talked about USA Archery. There is another component of the Lancaster Archery Foundation, and that is in providing scholarship funds to collegiate level archers.
Right. Yeah, we're sort of working on that aspect. We've provided funding to Texas A&M University. They have a very competitive archery program.
Yes.
And we are currently working with another university to set up a scholarship program through them to provide scholarships for their competitive archery team.
Nice. Because that goes to Carol and Rob's, we see so many archers who come through high school, specifically with NASP. And then what we've seen is, NASP has this huge following, and then there's a big dive afterwards because they kind of hit the workforce or they hit college, and it just kind of archery goes by the wayside. And, people play football, baseball, basketball in college, hey, why not shoot archery as
Absolutely.
well?
Absolutely. You know, I went to Penn State. We had an archery club that used to shoot behind the bowling alley in Rec Hall. But it has grown immensely since then.
Yeah.
You know, we have college teams that compete throughout the country.
Right.
So they're looking to just provide some funding to help offset some archers who are at the collegiate level. I mean, our youngest just graduated from college, and needless to say, that wasn't a cheap endeavor. So we try to help.
Every bit helps.
Every bit helps.
Yeah.
So we want to keep the fire burning in the collegiate archers and provide some finance to do that.
Yeah, if you want to see something cool, go onto YouTube and just type in Collegiate 3D Nationals. You want to see some kids having some fun. Those, I mean, they go all in. All that hype that you see at football games and stuff, you see it at the archery events too. They bring it.
Yes, yeah, they do, and they're just as passionate about their sport as the football player.
Yeah. So Lancaster Archery, you know, we have a JOAD program. So just to talk about how, you know, these programs develop archers over their lives. Our JOAD program, we have, of course, Casey and Connor Caulfield both going to Texas A&M. Jared Weaver's son Clay is going to the Cumberlands, and we had Danielle Woody was Lancaster Archery JOAD, who is now going to University of the Cumberlands, and she just won Women's Known 45 Shooter of the Year for the ASA. That is a competitive class. I mean, that's next year she'll go into the Known 50, but that's as competitive a class as you can get. Yeah. And from Lancaster Archery JOAD, she came out on top.
Yep. And then, you know, the more clubs we can support at the JOAD level and the ASP level and just a local club that has their own little team, you know, we can support them and keep that fire going and their interest growing as they get older and go on to college and, you know, maybe be able to provide some support at that level.
Yeah.
You know, I think we got archers for life then.
See some at the Olympics, Casey, obviously. Yeah. She's been there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's never know when you got somebody who's driving the passion where they'll end up.
Right. Yeah. And archery is one of those things, you know, we hear about so many. Brady Ellis, and I forget what sport he was playing, and had some health issues, turned to archery, and, you know, who knows if he would have ever picked it up if he hadn't come to it. But once he did, hey, we got one of the best archers in the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, we just want to, provide funding to get people started, get them going in the right direction, and support them as they grow.
Right. So the foundation, how does that, talk a little bit about the board members, who's on it, what the deliberation process looks like.
Sure. The foundation was created by Rob and Carol Caulfield, so they are on the board. We have Steve Yoder, VP of Purchasing, Eric Yoder, I think he's warehouse supervisor.
Yep.
Jared Weaver, who's the director of sales and marketing, and Emily Samuel, who's our controller. So they all have a knowledge of archery. Submit the application. The key point with the application is you do want to have your IRS documentation. Since we are a 501c3,
right,
we can only give to 501c3s, and to verify that, we need an IRS determination letter and a W-9. Submit those with the application. We compile them, and then we've been averaging about every other month having a board meeting, and then we sit down and go through each application. The board.
I'm guessing as word gets out, you're probably getting more applications and more.
Right.
More.
And I personally, as part of my job, I reached out to a lot of clubs. I compiled a large database from clubs and camps from across the country, sent out, flyers. We have a brochure we printed up. I sent that out to kind of, spur the interest and get them talking. And then they can reach back to me, or they can just go right online and fill out the application and submit it. And then I'll review it to make sure everything's complete for the board. And then when we, schedule the meeting, we all sit down and discuss the projects that they want funding for.
Yeah. So that's what we're time to touch back again. That's what we want people to donate for. So we currently, in the month of September, we have a bunch of ways that people can donate. Of course, they can go to LancasterArcheryFoundation.org. There's a little donate button right in the upper right corner. That's the, simple, clean way to do it. Go to that, click on it, boom. You can do it through PayPal, credit card, whatever.
Yep.
Then we have, if you're shopping on the Lancaster Archery website, buying some archery gear, you can, at the end, we have a special program. There's two things you can do. You can just donate that way, through the main website, or we have a roundup program. It'll ask you at checkout, hey, do you want to round up to the nearest dollar? I think people are familiar with that. You see that at the grocery store and stuff. So they can round up, give that way, and every little bit helps.
Absolutely.
If you give 50 cents, Easton's going to give us 50 cents to match it.
Right. I mean, no amount is too small. Every organization likes the big checks and stuff like that, but, I feel archery is a grassroots community.
Yeah.
Where, 50 cents here, 75 cents here, even 35 cents, round it up.
Adds up.
It all adds up. And like I said, it's super great that Easton will match whatever we can accumulate.
Yeah. If you're on the phone, if you call in your orders, you're one of those folks, just ask our techspert on the line there. They'll walk you through the process too. If you want to contribute, that's another way to do it.
Yep. It's a whole team effort from our side here because we're up for the challenge.
Yeah. Yeah. And so once we get the money at the end of the month, we're going to tally it all up. We're going to send that bill to Easton. Hopefully it's $100,000.
Absolutely.
That's what we'd like to. I got to go to Utah, to Salt Lake to spend some time with Greg Easton. We made a video about this campaign. And I mean, he was up front and he was like, yep, the best day would be if I get to write $100,000.
We want him to have to write that check. That's for sure. And I think we can make it. Just seeing some numbers looking pretty good, but it's not over till the end of the month, and every little bit helps. So, and some people may say, okay, Easton Foundations, well, they're doing this for their 100th anniversary. Yes, that's kind of the marketing end of that this was in the month where they were celebrating that 100th anniversary, but in reality, this allows Easton Foundations to do something that they can't do. Greg was explaining to us, they're very restricted in what they can do from their foundation with providing grants and stuff. And so if it's equipment and things like that, that's not something that they're able to do. They mainly have to maintain their facilities that they have, their Easton centers around the country. And so, if somebody comes in, hey, I'd like to have a grant for equipment for our club. They can't really do that, but they could provide a grant to Lancaster Archery Supply, and then we can do that. Right.
So just kind of a vehicle for them to reach a different audience that their foundations cannot.
Yeah. It's certainly a team effort. I've worked with Carl Green from the Easton Foundation. We met at our classic, and he has some great ideas, and we have some great ideas. And I think this is just kind of the start. I think we'll see collaboration going forward in different projects.
What are some of the cool stories? I'm sure as you're going through the grant applications, what are some of the cool stories that you've seen in the applications or heard talking to people?
Oh, sure. I guess one that still sticks with me is there was a nonprofit community-supported agriculture farm outside of Philadelphia. They got some grant funding, and they provide archery as part of their summer camp program for local kids, but also inner-city kids from out of Philadelphia. So they will bring them out there, teach them agriculture, wildlife conservation, and then one of their activities is to get them shooting archery equipment. Probably without our funding to give the farm their equipment, these kids would never have touched a bow and arrow in their life.
How about that? So is that the Snopes?
Yep, Snipes.
Or Snipes.
Snipes, yep.
Gotcha.
Snipes Farm.
Yeah,
neat story.
Yeah.
Another one is there's a camp up in the northern part of Pennsylvania we provided funding to. They work with kids who are in the foster program and also disabled kids.
Yes, I remember that one too. Yeah.
They're getting, kids who, unless they're into scouting or something like that, they're probably never going to touch a bow in their life.
Right.
We want them, we want to provide the funding so that they can get some bows in their hands and shoot and experience the same thrill that you and I shoot. Experience when we shoot.
I remember them writing on their application that they were the organizer was up front. I don't know if it was a man or woman, whoever it was, said, hey, we don't know a ton about archery, but we know that when these kids shoot a bow, they love it.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And they're like, we just want to, keep that experience going. They seem to like it. Hey, we'll provide it for them.
Absolutely. And then going to the other end of the spectrum, I spent the day with our Pennsylvania S3DA program. They had a challenge shoot at a local club.
Oh, yeah, right.
We provided funding for them. I think they're doing Shooter of the Year programs to reward the top shooters in their program, and seeing the kids there from all over the state, just having a thrill, shooting bows and arrows, and being humbled because some of them are better than me, and they're 12 years old and I'm 55, but they were thrilled. They're shooting bows and knowing that we can provide some funding to keep that fire burning in them is exciting.
And ultimately, this all goes to, obviously, Rob and Carol have dedicated their lives to archery. And I know since I've known Rob 30 some years now, his thing has always been, hey, if archery grows, then we grow.
Absolutely.
And, all boats will rise. More than just trying to do something for Lancaster Archery Supply, his approach has always been, hey, let's make archery bigger, and then we're naturally helping ourselves.
Right. The other thing too, like I've noticed in the applications, they want to, make family activities, get the whole family involved, which is exciting. Everybody's living a chaotic life these days with, work and activities. But if there's one club that can set aside, an evening where it's a family shoot and we can supply the new targets, that's good. It's going to keep those families together, keep archery growing in them, and then the kids can be archers for life.
It's interesting how people come into archery now, from all over the place. How if they're not from a rural area, archery may not be prevalent, but we have Hollywood now. Mm-hmm. Hunger Games, when that came out several years ago, man, there was an explosion in archery. And then now there's Arrow, I believe.
Oh, yes.
And then Brave, the cartoon series. The kids see people shooting bows and they're like, hey, I want to try that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is amazing the impact that, Hollywood has on archery. And so I've seen it in a pro shop. I'm sure you have too. A family comes in there and they have a young child who, wants to be like Katniss Everdeen.
Absolutely.
And so forth. So and then, like I said, the funding we can provide to the club that they shoot with or they go to, that's rewarding for us.
Right.
Because we hopefully have an archer for life.
And so from your work reaching out to clubs and stuff, what are you seeing as far as the spread of awareness of Lancaster Archery Foundation to those organizations?
A lot of them, I don't think were aware of us until I reached out to them. I've done numerous mailings across the country, just trying to get the name out there. I've done it by email, done it U.S. Postal Service with our brochure, talked to a lot of state agencies like 4-H, you work with the state agency, and then they have county clubs and so forth. So the word's getting out, but it's, we're still working at it.
Right. We should mention, getting personal now, Dale, we brought you in for this job. You're our ringer because this is what you did for so many years for the county of Lancaster.
Yep. Yeah. I guess I think I did it for 12 years, writing grants and managing grants for the county and primarily the district attorney's office. So
and fortunately for us, you also happen to like archery.
Yeah, I do. That's been my addiction since I was like 14.
It was a good match for us.
Yeah,
fit in.
Yeah, I'm excited. I love helping people, and like I said, when we can send out grant funding, and a few weeks later we get a thank you card back, that's very rewarding.
Yeah. So again, we want to go back, keep touching on it. What we're doing this month, we're trying to get, Easton Foundations has said they will match up to $100,000. We're trying to get donations from anybody out there, anybody, companies, individuals, whatever you got, we'll take it. Easton Foundations will match that. The pressing thing is it's the month of September only.
Right.
So October 1, we'll still accept your donation, but
right.
Easton won't be matching it.
Yeah, unfortunately, we got a very nice donation on August 31st.
Oh, darn it.
And I was talking with my supervisor, Emily, and we're just like looking, thinking, 12 hours later would have worked. But we'll still take it.
For sure, yeah.
Yep, absolutely. And, we just want to get grants out there to get clubs growing and people shooting bows and arrows and having the time of their life.
Yeah. Yeah, we want to take advantage, obviously, of that doubling effect of the Eastons. If you were thinking of making a contribution, now would be the time, just so we can get that extra effort from Easton Foundation.
Yep. We want to have Mr. Easton write a nice big check to us.
All right, Dale Brubaker, Lancaster Archery Foundation Grant Coordinator. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on here and kind of give the folks a little more information on what the foundation does and we'll hope to do in the future.
All right, folks, thanks for joining us today. And remember, through the end of September, we are looking for any and all donations. You can go to our website, LancasterArcheryFoundation.org, to find out how you can give. We appreciate anything and everything that you do for us. And, of course, we appreciate the Easton Foundations. Without them, we would not have this incredible opportunity. So thanks to them and thanks to you.